Nearly 30 years ago, Lincoln created a new segment when they introduced the first ever Navigator to the States all the way back in 1998. Now, this vehicle was so successful that so many other manufacturers scrambled to introduce their version of a large, body-on-frame luxury three-row SUV. Now, for 2025, the segment's OG is getting some significant upgrades. We're talking about new styling in the front and the rear and a brand new interior with a massive 48-inch curved panoramic display. So today we're actually back out here in Detroit, Michigan to see the new Navigator in person. And now that we're seeing this new SUV in the sheet metal, let's go ahead and take a first look. Hey guys, I want to interrupt this video for a brief announcement to give a shout out to today's sponsor. Now, most of you probably have known this, but I've been doing these YouTube videos for well over a decade, and while it pains me to admit this, I sadly don't have as much hair on my head as I did back in my early 20s. Now, hair loss is a hereditary thing that literally affects 2 out of 3 guys before they reach the age of 35, and this is where Keeps comes into play because they offer FDA-approved hair loss treatment plans, as well as 2-in-1 options that you can combine to essentially accelerate your results. Those additional options is what I actually enjoy using the most. Keeps offers things like a thickening shampoo, a thickening conditioner, and a thickening styling pomade that I pretty much use every day prior to all of my video shoots. These products are essentially formulated to essentially make your thinning hair appear thicker, and they are formulated by a lot of hair loss treatment experts. The other great thing about Keeps is because they are online, they offer 24/7 support and access to a licensed medical professional through your online portal. So what are you waiting for, guys? Whether you're looking to stop hair loss, stimulate hair growth, or simply take better care of your hair, Keeps has you covered. So big thank you to Keeps for sponsoring this video and for the free product. And to get started on your special offer, be sure to go to www.keeps.com/redline or simply click in the link in the description below. That's www.keeps.com/redline. And now let's get back to the video. So about 6 years ago, Lincoln really raised the bar when they introduced the all-new 4th generation Navigator back in 2018. And I have to say, seeing this new version in person, remember this is a 2025 model year now, it's gotten some significant updates. If you guys really like what Lincoln has done to the new Nautilus, you're gonna find a lot of the similarities here for their flagship vehicle. You can see this particular one that I'm showing you here is a black label version. If you guys remember, the Navigator first introduced the black label trim levels when this new generation came out back in 2018. And I have to say, the new front end looks really good with this crystal white exterior color. You can see the grille is bold front and center. It's got this new double line LED light bar that goes across from each headlight across the grille through the illuminated Lincoln Star. You can see the turn signals also have a sequential dynamic design to them when they are actually on. The headlights also have an LED low and high beam, LED daytime running lights, and overall, I think this car really embraces, again, Lincoln's newest design theme here that really worked well on the Nautilus for me, and it's carried over onto the big Navigator quite nicely. Now, moving around the side profile, this is the L, which means you have the extended wheelbase version. So Lincoln didn't have any final specs to share with us today in terms of the dimensions, but we can go ahead and speculate because the 2024 model was around 32 inches long. It had around 131-inch long wheelbase. There's also a shorter wheelbase model in another room, which we'll show you guys in a different review or a different scene. But as you can see here, the wheels. These are new wheels that are exclusive to the black label theme. They're actually kind of like a satin copper look to them, and they're a 24-inch wheel. That's right, a 24-inch wheel, which we first saw that on some GM competitors like the new Escalade and the Yukon, for example. You can see this wheel is riding on a 285 by 40 R24-inch wheel. So this is kind of exclusive to the black label trim level. And it looks really nicely, of course, with the body lines. The wheels themselves have a really interesting kind of star pattern to them with the satin copper look. But let me know in the comment section below if you guys like the way the new wheels look. Now, looking around the rest of the profile, you can see there are some detailed changes here where there's more of that satin copper kind of going through the actual badging here. And as opposed to a lot of chrome like in the previous generation, Lincoln has decided to go with like a stainless steel finish along the window trim, along the integrated roof rails, which is nice. The L version, as you can see, stretches the vehicle out by over a foot, which kind of looks a little bit awkward for me from some angles, but again, that's kind of going with the actual theme here. If you guys want the extra long version, it's gonna have basically everything kind of pulled out to give you extra space on the inside. Now, looking at the rear of the vehicle, you can see this is where you're gonna see the biggest changes to the new Navigator because you do have a new LED light signature back here. In fact, This taillight kind of goes with their flight design philosophy because these, this full length LED light bar kind of has these little accented wings at the ends that, kind of connect the two taillights together. There's also a sequential LED turn signal at the back. The Lincoln logo is kind of hiding behind this piece of glass, which is something that we first saw on the new Nautilus, which I think really translates well over here. There's also a nice little spoiler here where the rear wiper is integrated and hidden underneath the actual spoiler itself, which kind of gives it more of a cleaner design to it. Down here you can see you have some nicely integrated parking sensors. Your tow hitch cover is behind here. This car also now comes with Lincoln's Pro Trailer Backup Assist, which you've seen on many other Ford F-150 and Ranger pickup trucks. And then if you're looking for the spare, it's actually hidden underneath there. It looks as if it's actually a full-size spare as well, which is a nice feature to have, especially when you have a big vehicle like this. As you can see, when you open up the tailgate, it actually has a split folding design or split tailgate design. This is a feature that we typically see on high-end vehicles like a Range Rover, a BMW X7 or X5. This feature, I think, was a really big change because I personally love the split tailgate design. If you have a bunch of stuff back here, like Lincoln has set up to do so, if you're driving around and when you open up the tailgate, you don't have to worry about stuff falling out because of that separate piece that stays in place. And this also kind of doubles as like a seat if you guys want to use this for tailgating. This L version, we don't have the actual final cargo figures just yet, but they should be around the same as the 2024 model, which it means around 35 cubic feet of space. It expands out to around 131 when you have all the seats folded. You can see the rear third row also has a new 40-20-40 split arrangement where you can actually fold down the center area to kind of create an armrest and separate captain's chairs. You also have plenty of power outlets back here. So there's actually a 120 volt power outlet here, actually one of them and a 12 volt, and then you also have two USB-C charging ports, which is a nice touch. There's also a new LED lighting back here, so if you guys are doing something at night, you can actually have the area lit up. But overall, I think that Lincoln switching to the split tailgate design was a great feature, and I think a lot of consumers and potential owners are really gonna appreciate this change. So I really appreciate the way the Black Label look. We've actually switched over to this other Navigator, which is the Reserve package, which has a few differences in the exterior design. But before we start talking about that, let me go ahead and pop the hood and show you guys what's powering this thing. Now, the new Navigator has a carryover powertrain from the 2024 model, and that's kind of a good thing. It's the company's tried and true 3.5 liter twin turbocharged direct injection V6, part of their EcoBoost engine family. It still makes the same 440 horsepower and 510 pound-feet of torque. All that power goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission, and all Navigators come with the company's full-time all-wheel drive system. They weren't quite ready to talk about fuel economy figures just yet, but the 2024 model is rated at 1622, so I expect this model to be roughly the same. Towing capacity on the old Navigator was also around 8,300 pounds. I also expect this to be pretty much the same, along with the curb weight figures and the performance figures. It's a great powertrain, but I am a little disappointed that Lincoln didn't want to put their hybrid powertrain from the F-150 into this vehicle. That would have improved the power and the efficiency, but regardless, the V6 twin turbo is still a great powertrain to do all of your necessary items when you drive a vehicle like this. But closing the hood, let's go ahead and talk about the exterior styling differences here between the Black Label that we saw outside versus this model here. This is the Reserve package with the Jet Appearance package. So this essentially blacks out a lot of the stainless steel silver accents. You can see the grille, the Lincoln grille here is bold. It's front and center of the vehicle. You have the same full LED headlights, which do that LED light signature dance. You have that new LED light signature where it has that full length double line LED light bar that goes into the Lincoln Star logo. And in this Harbor Mist gray exterior color with the Jet Appearance package, it certainly makes for a much more handsome and kind of darker appearance to it, which I very much appreciate. Moving around the side profile, you can see this is actually the shorter wheelbase model. So this one here should have an overall length of around 210 inches with a 122-inch wheelbase. You can see with the Jet Appearance package, you also get a different wheel finish. So as opposed to like the bright with the copper accents, you have kind of like a gloss black wheel. This is a multiple spoke 22-inch wheel on a 285 width tire, 275 by 50 R22. So a little bit narrower versus the 24-inch wheels, but I think some of you may prefer something like this because it has a little more sidewall protection versus the 24s, although I do notice they don't look quite as big as the Black Label model we were looking at earlier. You can see the mirror caps here are also black with the integrated turn signals. You have black accents here for the Navigator badging, more black along the window trim and along the roof rails, which are the low profile design. There's still a big panoramic sunroof. You still have this little detail here that kind of helps break up the side profile. And overall, this new model, because of the different, finishes and looks here. It actually still looks larger to me versus the previous generation, even though I believe the dimensions should be pretty similar. Now looking at the rear, you can see you have the same kind of full light band LED taillight design, which kind of has almost like a wing inspired to it. Because remember, Lincoln is all about their flight theme here when you talk about the exterior design. I think it's a much more distinctive look versus the pre-refresh model. And I also, again, really appreciate the split tailgate that you get back here because that split tailgate is a feature that I think a lot of people are going to really appreciate. A lot of premium SUVs have this split tailgate feature, and as you can see, it still has that same LED light that kind of comes down here, and Lincoln put that there because they figured if you're going to be using this like to tailgate, you can sit here, you can change your shoes or whatever you'd like. And if you are doing it at night, this light kind of helps to light things up. In terms of the cargo space, they didn't have those final figures just yet, but just like on the longer version, this one has a little bit less. The old Navigator had around 20 cubic feet of space. You still have that new 40, 20, 40 arrangement for the third row, which I actually really love. It kind of creates almost like a captain's chairs theme here in the actual third row, just like in the second row. If you fold down the second row seats, the old model had around 57 cubic feet with around 103 cubic feet with everything folded down. So again, in terms of the maximum cargo, obviously you're going to want the L for that, but this standard wheelbase model is still going to have plenty of space to carry all of your people and their stuff. Now moving on to the interior of the 2025 Navigator. This is where, again, Lincoln has spent a lot of time really upping the luxury factor in a lot of their vehicles. I mean, remember when the fourth generation came out, it was a really nice interior, but for 2025, the company is looking to take it even further up market. This black label that we're showing you here has a new theme. It's called the atmospheric theme. As you can see, it has kind of like a two-tone look. Obviously, you have these 30-way perfect position seats, which are heated, ventilating, and massaging and offer two-person memory on the driver's side. But I also want you to notice the color of the seats. So you can see this is kind of a new color theme that goes with the atmospheric theme. It's called salt crystal gray with the copper stitch. It's also got the contrast piping as well. The seats also have really plush, soft leather to it. This is the upgraded leather. And you also notice there's kind of these interesting perforations in the diamond quilt of the seats. These perforations, there's actually 3 different sizes for the holes of the perforation. It's kind of designed to mimic precipitation because remember, atmospheric theme. It's a really nice detailed touch that I think Lincoln customers are going to really appreciate. Now getting inside, you can see with the running boards that are power deploying, it's kind of easy to get in and out of. As I shut the door has a really nice solid sounding thunk. I want to point out that this model that we're showing you is a very early pre-production car, so some things may not work as expected. Keep that in mind whenever the full production car comes out. You can see the door panels have that same salt crystal gray full leather on the upper portion of the door handles with the kind of contrast copper stitching. It's nice and padded over here. I also love the window controls on this car. It's got a new all metal control that I haven't seen on any other Ford or Lincoln product. So it's nice that Lincoln's kind of upping their quality of the switchgear and kind of creating some bespoke switchgear. And then of course, if you're looking at this interior, if you guys have seen the new Nautilus, this is going to look very familiar because just like in that vehicle and this car's main rival, the Escalade, Lincoln has gone to a fully digital dash display, which kind of spans from almost pillar to pillar. It's 48 inches across. It's comprised of 2 screens. I believe it's a 24-inch screen here, a 24-inch screen over here. You have an 11-inch screen in the center that controls all the different sources and to customize that screen. And then you can see the steering wheel itself is basically lifted off of the Nautilus as well. It's got a power tilt telescoping function. It has these kind of touch-sensitive buttons here that if you kind of touch an area here, it'll highlight on the screen the specific area where you're touching it. It also includes Blue Cruise. In fact, all Navigators come standard with Ford's and Lincoln's Blue Cruise hands-free driving, which comes standard for 4 years. So typically, if you guys just get Blue Cruise, it's only a 90-day subscription, but the Navigators will all come with it for 4 years, which is also a really nice touch. That screen over there, as you can see, really gives you all the information that you'd like. I also like the fact that Lincoln has made the dash nice and low, which by the way, it's covered in this beautiful leather with the contrast stitching, but at the same time, this screen is not super overwhelming. It doesn't block your line of sight through the windshield because Lincoln, again, lowered the dash height, which allowed the screen to kind of sit at the perfect eye level. I had a chance to spend a week with a Nautilus and actually driving it with the new infotainment system. It's a world improvement over the previous generation. Remember, this runs off of Lincoln's digital experience. You can use over-the-air updates. You can actually stream movies and play video games onto the screen when the vehicle is parked. So we'll have to wait and try that out later on to show you guys what that's like. You can see in the center stack here, there's the typical Lincoln styling elements here. First of all, you have the dual armrest here, which is nice, which are nice and padded as well. You have this new crystal knob here for the volume control, which looks fantastic with this kind of black ash wood with, again, these little laser etched dots in here, which the dots have 3 different sizes, just like the seats, to kind of create almost like a precipitation effect to it. I kind of think it looks more like stars because it has like that satin copper look to it. If you open up these little areas here, you can see you have cup holders, you have your two USB charging ports, you have a wireless phone charging pad. Here's the key fob for the vehicle. You can see it's the same corporate Lincoln key fob with the Lincoln badge over here. I kind of think it's time for Lincoln to introduce a new key that's separate from Ford. But I really appreciate the restraint that Lincoln is putting in here by not doing too much shiny black plastic or too much chrome. They've gone with more of like an elegant theme here with the satin switchgear and a lot of the bespoke switchgear with all the really nice leather. Of course, you can see above me here, the Black Label includes this beautiful Alcantara headliner. In the roof panel, you have this massive panoramic glass roof, which lets in a ton of light and air, which is all going to be nice. If you open up this little center console, you can see it's got a massive center console with 2 more USB charging ports. In fact, Lincoln says there's a total of 14 USB charging ports in this vehicle. So people who are in this car are never going to run out of outlets to charge all of your devices, which is what people want in today's modern vehicles. If you look over here, there's also leather and like nice padded materials over this area. The glove box, however, is not leather covered, but it's padded. You can see it's damped but not lined with felt. It's a bin style. It offers a good amount of storage in addition to more storage over here. This is a family vehicle, so there's a ton of storage. There's a ton of technology in here, but I also appreciate the fact that it's not super button heavy. This new infotainment system layout has removed a lot of the buttons and they've put it in this 11-inch display, which it's not working right now because this is a really early pre-production car. But as you can see, the dash layout here and the way those screens looks with the graphics, you've got the Lincoln Rejuvenate, you've got their digital scent experience, which wafts a perfume in here, and it also has brand new ambient lighting. So overall, the cabin makes a great first impression. If you guys really like the new Nautilus, you're gonna love it in the new Navigator because it just kind of carries over into this vehicle and really shows you that this is the flagship model of Lincoln. Let's go ahead and hop into the second row because I do want to show you guys what that space is like. Now, this Black Label version does obviously come with captain's chairs. These captain's chairs also are now power adjustable, which is a new feature this year. They're also heated, ventilated, and massaging. So again, I believe the Navigator about 3 years ago or 2 years ago was the first vehicle in the segment to get massaging second row captain's chairs. So as you can see, Lincoln has kind of upped the ante here with this new version. As I get in, you can see, shut the door, there's just a ton of space. I mean, the second row is almost like an extension of the first row because of these captain's chairs. You have this fixed center console. You have a 5-inch display over here, or 5.8-inch display, which has more of that wood accents. You have a wireless phone charging pad, big cup holders here, nice padded armrest here. And if I open this up, you can see a pretty deep center console where you can hide a few items in here. If you want to adjust anything in this interior, like the lighting, the air quality, the seats, you can go into the massaging seat here. You control it via this little screen over here. You can see there's all different types of massage. It all works fairly nicely. It's included with this trim. And then you can see here, it's got a new rear seat entertainment package, which also includes streaming services for your favorite apps and movies. And you can also hook up video games. These are 10.8 inches in size. So it's not overwhelmingly large because when you're sitting back here, you're going to notice that you have a really nice clear view of that fully digital dash in the front of the vehicle. You also have decent headroom space. I'm 5'7". My haircut's kind of close to that. Remember, the sunroof does take up space. You have rear seat air vents in the ceiling over this vehicle in addition to your climate functions. There's the 28 speaker audio system in this car, which again is their premium audio system. It's one of the best that you're going to hear in the industry, which is nice. And then of course, with the seats moving forward and back, you can see I don't have the final legroom figures just yet. I think the old model had around 41 inches of legroom, but again, it's going to give you all the space and technology from the front seats kind of carried over into the second row. Now down here, there's a full power outlet over there. And then if you want to open this up, you can see more cup holder storage down here. And then if you open this up, there's additional hidden storage underneath here. So I always love finding cubbies and knickknacks around the interior. It's a great place for kids to kind of store all their items away from prying eyes. But let's go ahead and hop into the third row. Lincoln makes it pretty easy, especially with these power captain's chairs. There's a button here on the top portion of the seat. Just push that top button here. It will electrically move the second row seat out of the way. It'll also push the front seat out of the way. And you can see it also tilts the seat forward in a manner where you could theoretically keep a child seat latched into there, although it will kind of take up space if it's a big child seat. But once you get into the third row of this vehicle, you can see here the space. I'm going to put this side back. Lincoln wasn't ready to talk about the legroom figures just yet of the third row, but we can speculate based on the 2024 model. It should have around 36 inches of legroom. You can see when the seat comes all the way back. The floor, because it's an independent rear suspension, is nice and low. And you can see you can easily fit 3 people across because the vehicle's body is wide enough to where somebody of like my frame could probably sit back here and stay relatively comfortable. You can see in terms of the seats back here, I love the fact that they carried over with this beautiful soft, supple leather trim with the contrast stitching and the perforations and the piping as well. The salt crystal gray leather looks really nice. The seats back here are also 2-level heated, but not ventilated, but you do have a little feature where I can power recline the actual seat back here to get a little bit more comfortable, which is a nice touch. The roof, as you can see, there's a pretty good amount of headspace for somebody my height. The panoramic sunroof sadly doesn't come all the way into the third row. You do have rear seat air vents along with map lights back here as well. And then you have these big windows that do allow you to, again, get some view out of the side of the vehicle. There's a great view out of the front. There's also 2 USB charging ports on this side and on this side. So there's a total of 4 USB charging ports along with some storage and cup holders. So overall, what makes the Navigator such an impressive family vehicle, like so many other vehicles in this segment, is the fact that the third row can accommodate full-size adults, and you can carry up to 8 people in this vehicle comfortably. So one of the great features about the new Lincoln Digital Experience infotainment software is just all the little Easter eggs that you can find. First of all, we got the screen to work on the other Navigator in this particular studio. There is interchangeable ambient lighting that you can choose from. It looks like 7 different colors along with the intensity. It even tells you where the lighting is going to go. There's also, of course, that digital scent feature, which I mentioned earlier. There you can see there's 3 different types of scents: ozonic, azure, violet cashmere, and mystic forest. My actual favorite is the first one. It just wafts a perfume that's very subtle into the cabin. It makes the interior feel and just smell really nice. And then the other great feature is something that Lincoln calls rejuvenate. So when you go here into that setting and you click on that, you can see there are 3 different types of rejuvenation. So you can see the elements shows you kind of like a water feature in those big 48-inch displays. I actually really love the waterfall meditation, which is kind of like a new I guess theme that they're offering for the Navigator. You can see the graphics there look like as good as anything you're going to find on like your big living room television. If you just push the preview button here, you can see what it does is it actually goes through like a little sequence. It'll recline the seat, it'll move the steering wheel away, it'll adjust the climate control and the airflow, it'll turn on the heated seat or the massaging seat, and then it'll waft a certain perfume to kind of create that little just kind of meditation area. And you can see here, there's also another one called Aurora Borealis. We've seen this one in the new Nautilus as well. It kind of does the same thing when you go into the actual preview of it, where it plays the little animation there and it goes through the little sequence. And it just kind of creates a nice calming atmosphere. If you guys had a really long day at work and you kind of want to just get into your car and just have an aha relaxation moment, this is kind of a great little feature to have. And it really sets apart a luxury brand from a non-luxury brand, because this little feature here, I think, could be something that a lot of people end up using, especially after you've had a really long day at the office or you've just been stuck in traffic for the last hour or so trying to get home to and from work. So even though the Lincoln Navigator started the large body-on-frame luxury segment almost 30 years ago, sadly for Lincoln, its crosstown rival General Motors with the Cadillac Escalade has consistently outsold the Navigator by about 2-1. But after seeing all the changes that Lincoln has made for 2025, I'm happy to report that they've made some really strategic changes that'll help this car stay competitive in this always growing space. The exterior design changes really bring it in line with the new Nautilus, which I'm a really big fan of in terms of the design, but really where Lincoln pulled out all the stops is in the interior. That new 48-inch display is massive. It's not the biggest in its segment. That distinction belongs to the Escalade with its new 55-inch display. But when I had a chance to spend a week with the Nautilus, I was blown away with the new software, with the digital experience, with the Lincoln Rejuvenate, the digital scent, the perfect position seats. It's a really luxurious, comfortable vehicle that finally feels like a world-class SUV, a world-class luxury car. Now, obviously, there are a couple of gripes that I have. I wish that Lincoln would have introduced a hybrid powertrain. Some of you may argue this is just a really heavy refresh, which it seems like it is, although I think Lincoln has made enough changes to, again, call this a new version of the Navigator, obviously. And then if you guys are looking to get your hands on this new model, what's it going to cost and what's the availability? Well, Lincoln obviously wasn't ready to talk about pricing just yet, but we can go ahead and speculate. The current generation at 2024 starts at around $83,000, goes up to around $110,000 for the black label trim level. I estimate this pricing should be around the same ballpark, so maybe figure 85 grand to start for the base version, going up to maybe 110, 115 grand for the loaded version. We'll have to wait until we actually get our hands on one, but Lincoln says that you can actually go to your Lincoln dealership and order this car as early as October of this year, and deliveries are going to start in the spring of 2025. So again, when you guys are looking in this space, be sure to check out the all-new Navigator, because Lincoln has definitely given this thing all the top-notch technology and luxury achievements that you expect in the large 3 3-row body-on-frame luxury class. Well, with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new 2025 Lincoln Navigator. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you all in the next video.